言うことは一つだけ。絶対負けねえ。
一気にシュートだ。
みんなのプレイを僕は絶対無駄にしない。
俺の個人技見せてやるぜ。
How's it going, everyone? This is Nothing Excess with a new player analysis video. Today we've got a lot of characters to get to. We have 7 of them. We're going to go try to do all of them in one fell swoop because there's a lot of characters that are new. We have the soda that was updated from the last banner, which I didn't get to cover in time because I didn't really have a lot of things to say, but I thought about it a little bit more, so we're going to cover him. There were 2 characters that were given hidden ability evolutions, which were Jun Misugi, the raid version, All Japan Secret Weapon, and Deuter Muller, the Phantom Keeper. And then we have 3 new players from the banner, which are Owairan, Shingo, Owairan, and Chana, Konsawatt. And also we have the event player Shun, Nitta. Now, this is a long enough video that you're probably not going to want to sit through the whole thing, and I understand that. So in the bottom, in the description, I am going to be putting time codes to every one of the reviews so that you can just click on them and directly go to the player you'd like. Eventually, maybe I'll do that for all the other ones, but primarily, we'll start with this one because there are 7 players and this video will run pretty long. So let's get started. First up, we have Owairan, Prince of the Burning Sands. He's basically a proper wingback. He's probably the first proper wingback in the game. He feels a little tilting that Red just received another decent passer, but he doesn't have access to the same level of passing skills, right? He has to rely on a precise pass to actually pass. So he's not going to be like Misaki or Pierre. That said, he does have an S1-2. He is a little bit more limited though, regardless, but because he has plenty of skills, he can compensate for it. He has an incredibly flexible team skill. It has a surprisingly strong passive that moves him 150% further than other units when using a 1-2, and people are actually sleeping on that, by the way. 10.7k passing, and it also has solid dribbling, tackling, and interception. He kind of fits right into any non-Japanese team as a wingback in a 4-1-2-3 or a 4-1-3-2 formation. So if you're looking for someone that can really just play defense, but also then immediately join in on the attack as the primary ball carrier, Owairan is it out of the defending position. Pros: 10.7k pass, 9k dribble, 9.2k tackle, and 8.9k intercept. He has access to decent skills for all 4 of those. He has good, surprisingly good skill support, and his 1-2s move him super far forward. For cons, his A intercept and tackle come from a Dream Collection version, and his S tackle comes from another SSR gacha. Both of those things mean he's difficult to put together without lots of dupes. His S1-2 momentum, his S1-2 has momentum issues because it caps at 405, so that's kind of a bit of a problem. He is a defender. His roles are defender or defense, enabler, and utility. I rate him an S. I think he's actually a very good unit. I think a lot of people don't understand quite how good he is. Would I go for broke for him? Maybe. His team skill does make him kind of valuable in teams that want to run maybe like a Japanese goalkeeper, but in a non-Japanese team. Or maybe you have like a Hyuga up there and you want to carry him and buff him a little bit. Because, for example, the Europe buffs, some of them are 15-10. A couple of them at least. And so you might want to run like one of those, and then another buff, and then this guy's buff, and then Owairan will help, like, for example, not make you feel bad that you're running like Hyuga up there, because you'll be like 33-35 as opposed to just 30 flat. And also buff characters like Genzo. You may not need that anymore because of Muller, but for example, if you run this Owairan and you run that buff, you could use that buff to make up for the fact that maybe Muller is not getting like 2%. So, you know, there's levels to it. Cons is A-intercept and tackle. Okay, no, we already talked about that. Anyways, limit break. Dribble tackle speed, 16-16-18, and pass intercept technique, 17-17-16. This is what I call the utility build. This is probably best for making sure that your player can do everything but shoot. So, you know, just run that. For his stats, 947 stamina is okay. Not bad, not great. There are characters with much better stamina, obviously. His in-match stats, he's got 9k dribble, 10.7k pass, 9.2k tackle, and 8.9k intercept, as we mentioned earlier. Nothing showing for high or low ball, but that's not the kind of player he is. For his skill build, keep the Burning Sands attack because you can't do anything with it. Precise pass, rolling dribble, cross defense, and calculated interception. Basically, you could teach him S tackle if you'd rather use that instead, the S cross defense, and that's probably the right call, but Owairan is more of a character you dump the ball to out of the defensive line who will bring the ball upwards. rather than the person trying to get the ball himself. However, if he is trying to get the ball himself, you may want the S tackle instead of the A tackle. That said, the A tackle is easier to level up. If you have to get the ball back though, you would rather want the additional firepower. The issue is that I feel most people would rather spend their stamina on something else. 405 stamina for a tackle does feel pretty rough, especially when you're in the 900s. So, weigh that carefully. Next up, we got Shingo Aoi, Lively Prince of the Sun. Shingo Aoi, you know, out here, just doing his thing. Captain Aoi, Dream Team's latest version of Aoi. It's kind of a weird version. Some ways, he's very similar to Owairan in that he's good at 4 different things. He has a little bit more shot, which you'll be using almost never because 8.1k. But his main skill is World Cup Aoi's skill, which is S na Sabroveshata. And you basically never want to use it on him because it's not very good at shooting. That said, he also has a buff to his 1-2 skills. His skill selection is kind of whatever, with a decent 1-2 that only needs Tsubasa and a horrible dribble to start, so you're going to have to get skill support from elsewhere. If you give him the AEX 80 interception, he is kind of an obnoxious defensive midfielder to deal with. He's not quite as good as intercepting as the event Aoi, for example, but he brings other things to the table other than that, and also his 1-2 ability does make him interesting in that regard. He's just an obnoxious to deal with defensive midfielder who's otherwise alright and has a flexible team skill. Pros, he got 9k in dribble, pass, and intercept, and 8.7k tackle. Passive makes him move far forward with a successful 1-2. He's got great skill support and tons of stamina. He kind of reminds me of Wang Zhongming in some regards. Cons, main skill is a bad fit on him. His A dribble is bad and you'll want to replace it. But the only good options are a B dribble, which is whatever, or an S dribble, which needs an SSR dupe, and also SSR balls to make it stronger. He is a defensive midfielder only. His roles are, again, defense, enabler, and utility. He is not quite as good as Owairan. I would rate him an A, and I would not go for broke for him, because I don't think his passive's as useful as a non-Japanese passive, especially in blue, where most players are already mostly either you can build non-Japan or you can build Japan, and there's not really that much crossover. For his limit break, 16, 16, 18 dribble tackle speed, and then 17, 17, 16 pass intercept technique, just like Owairan. Stamina 1100, which is actually quite high. He does have a lot of stamina. That's just how Aoi rolls. He never gets tired. His dribble is 9.2k, pass 9.1k, tackle 8.7k, and intercept 9.1k. As you can see, everything pretty high. He is also very good at low balls, but you're not really going to teach him a volley, so don't worry too much about that. For his skill build, non-stop Roveshata, obviously you can't do anything about it, so it has to stay there. Triangular long pass, A bob and weave interception EX, A bob and weave defense, and S juggling dribble. If you can give him the S dribble, do so. If not, the B dribble is a better option than the A one, as the A one is severely overcosted and there's no viable alternative for him right now. A juggling pass is an option instead of the dribble if you'd rather go all in on passing and interception with a 25-25-25 split there and 25 speed. So that is definitely something you could do. Do consider it if you would like. Next up, we've got Chana Konsawatt, Kitten Dribble, one of the more bizarre units in the game, right? Because Chana is a support forward who's not a great shooter. He's got 9.8k shooting, which is not exactly impressive. It's not bad, but it's not great. He's also a great dribbler and a passer. The problem is the skills he learns for those things aren't very good, and he's also a forward. He hasn't learned any particularly great skill for any of these things. So what ends up happening is that since he's a defensive black hole, he's very bad as a support forward because he can't steal the ball back, and he's expected to do things with the ball. He winds up being somewhat hard to use as a result. He has bad skill support and no passing skill, but at least he's got an A12 to help him bring the ball up. There's still no good SSR Faran though, so it does make him a little difficult to use, and I'm going to guess the next Faran is also going to be green. So for pros, he's great at dribbling with 11.1k and 10.2k passing, and he's pretty fast at 6.4k speed. He's got an interesting team skill, which would be more helpful if it was Japanese. Obviously it won't be because he's not Japanese. Or if it would be an Asian, it might have been more interesting. Passive makes him the only player who moves forward after a dribble. For his cons, he's got middling skill support. He doesn't learn to pass yet. His S dribble has a low momentum cap at 405. Rocket cannon is kind of weak, and his good shot A aerial rolling spike both has no S version and also has low stats backing it up at 9.9k. He is a forward. His roles are striker and enabler. He's better at enabling than striking. I should have probably put enabler and striker as a sub role. I would rate him a B. He's not very good. Would I go for broke for him? No. Limit break, probably the standard forward build, dribble shot pass, and then a speed power technique with 22.3 dribble speed, 22.3 pass technique, and 25.25 shot power. The only reason for the 25.25 is because you do kind of want to have a shooting option. He is a forward, and the other things, he's already good enough that he doesn't have to go crazy on. And frankly, since he's not really like very good at defending, so I don't know why I would give him 25.25, 0.0, 25.25, right? Like ignore shot and power and just go all in on dribble speed pass technique. He needs to have something that he could do other than just dribble and pass. So that would be the reason why I would give him shot. So anyways, for stamina, I would give him, he has 986. As you can see, he's got 7,000s in the dribble, shot, and pass category, and almost nothing in tackle, block, intercept. This results in 11,139 dribble, 9.8k shot, and 10.2k pass, and his tackle, block, and intercept are all awful. This is what makes him hard to think of, because he is probably pretty good at enabling himself, but then the crack he takes at the goalie is probably not strong enough to really make him that terrifying. For his skill build, S-Cat dribble, he's what he comes with. It's a very decent little dribble. It's not particularly strong, but it is decent. A rocket cannon is the volley he learns. A Konsawatt trio is the 1-2 he comes with. He also has a aerial rolling spike that you can give him from the SR version, and you can teach him the A-Cat dribble from the version that you can get for free, the chess version. Now, he does have very little skill support, so you're going to just give him A-Cat dribble 2 and use it as a cheap alternative against weaker players if you must use this Chana at all. His same team skill, but for Japanese players, would probably be all kinds of busted, but the one that he has is not really that great. There's really not much else to say about Chana. He's just kind of like a new unit. New units that don't have any skill support still because they don't have a lot of SR versions or because they don't have other SSR versions are kind of hard to talk about, especially because there's not a whole lot of variety of skills. You can't really talk about the cool things they can do yet. At least even Owairan has more variety so far. Moving on, we've got Shun Nitta, Falcon looks over the world. This is the version that you get from the event. There's very little to say about this particular unit. He's an event unit that isn't very good. He kills punchers, so I suppose he counters Selena's, which is nice. The real story is that A Falcon shot EX because it costs the same as the S version, and it's only 5 momentum weaker at level 1 than the S version. So right now you're thinking, oh, it's not a very good skill. But in the Dream Cup, it can get to 50, while the S version can only get to 30. So at level 50, it reaches 311 momentum, but the S version at level 30 only reaches 290, right? So what ends up happening is that if you're trying to play in the Dream Cup, A Falcon Shot EX is actually very good. It's preferable because if you're playing in the Dream Cup, right, it's more optimized. So the actual prize Nitta sucks, but farming this event for his shot is actually quite good. So if you get this guy as a side effect, you'll have a volley that you could pull off of him, which is great, but he himself is not very good. But, for example, like if you got the green Nitta from the last event, you actually kind of really want the A Falcon Shot EX because that's going to be very good for you if you're playing green and you want to play, or like Green Japan, and which is, you know, an archetype that's not very good, but you can do it now and not feel terrible about the decision. So, if you do get him, you do have that as an option. I would get the shot and level it up to 50, or, you know, obviously level it up to 80, but get it to 50 and then give it to the new green Nitta, and then in the Dream Cup he will actually be very useful for you because he is very fast, he does have a lot of options, and he will be able to shoot with it. Pros of this unit, he's got 10k shot and he kills punchers, and the cons are that he sucks. No limit break because don't bother. As you can see, I'll show you why he sucks. 871 stamina, not good. Shot 10.3k, and everything else is sub 6,000. Most everything is sub 6,000, and block is the only thing over 6,000 with 6.4k. Actually terrible. For skill build, you know, just this. You don't need to pull off the pass anymore to have a pass on Nitta, so leave him like this. Left leg jumping Falcon Valley, however, is nice to pull off, so you might want to take it off, even though it's only 305. Nittas are almost always very good on volleys, and so you may want that A volley. Everything else is pointless. Don't bother with this unit. He's just like a collectible. Just keep him around because you can collect them. Next up, we have Jun Misugi, All Japan's secret weapon. After hidden ability Schneider proved his worth by being an interesting buffer unit, K-Lab went and produced whatever the hell this is. His actual hidden abilities aren't very good with minor buffs. He can kill Argentinian players, which is weird because Galtoni isn't in the game yet, and he won't be until Rising Sun. And he's better at overheads, which is nice, I guess. He's an incredibly lackluster player, and he doesn't really help new players in the same way hidden ability Schneider did. So I'm kind of left perplexed as to what the point of this unit is. Who is he supposed to help, and what are you supposed to do with him? Which obviously means he's going to be really good in a time attack, or in like a, what's that called, like a challenge road, where, or something like that, where he's just going to destroy Argentinians, whatever. Pros, he buffs other Japanese players by 1%, he kills Argentinians by 40%. Cons, there's no Argentinian goalkeepers to take advantage of with this skill. The buffs he gives aren't quite strong enough to really consider running him on the field against any other version of Misugi. Hidden ability Schneider buff Germans by 5% and nerf Japanese players by 5%. This guy does nowhere near that much. He is a forward. His roles are striker and buffer. He's a C at it. He's not cool. Limit breaks, just do the standard forward limit break in case we actually have to run him in an event, but other than that, don't bother. His hidden abilities are all stats +1. If you're Japanese, you're 1% stronger. I guess that's nice. Argentinian player killer B. If there were more Argentinians that he could actually use this against, it'd be fine. Instead, he sort of just gets past Diaz, Pascal, and Galvin a little bit easier, and that's it. It is a 25%, I think, Argentinian player killer. It could be more. I don't actually remember. I don't care. Snow cover, resistance, whatever. Special skill block, cancel S. That's actually kind of nice. He only gets one of them, but it's still pretty nice. He ignores one special skill block. And also special skills force +25. It makes his overheads very strong. If he was any good, that would be great, but he's not. So it's still an S level hidden ability. It's just not any good on him because he's not good. Like, it is a good special skill. It is a good hidden ability, but on him, it's kind of wasted. Stamina 844, stats whatever. He doesn't get anything higher than 8k. Everything's under 8k. Pass 7.6, shot 7. It's just not very good. For a skill build, ultimate overhead kick, and then just teach him a bunch of C skills, and then an A drive pass if you must. Frankly, I don't know why you would use this character. I don't know why you would teach him any skills. It feels like a waste. But if you must use him for whatever reason, like again, one of those events in the future, this is the way you would do it probably. You could probably get away with just C skills and you'll be fine. Next up, we've got Makoto Sora, the Razor Fighter. He's a unit with 9.7k tackle, which is okay. He has Insight Master, but it's 5%, which feels like a typo. I don't know why. 20% Stamina Killer, however, is quite nice on any player. Additionally, he's the owner of the first directly targeted hidden ability, which nerfs any opponent's Napoleon by 10%. That's actually kind of powerful. Unfortunately, he's a bouquet of mediocrity everywhere else. He's in the 7k club in every single other category, which is not very strong. 9.7k tackle isn't enough that people are scared that you'll bully them, that you can just run around with your tackle being like, I'm going to take the ball. Additionally, his tackle's capped at 420 momentum, which is kind of lame. Pros, he's an annoying stamina draining tackler who hard counters a single unit, Napoleon, by lowering his stats by 10%. He's got distant skill support. Cons, the skill support is irrelevant if you can't really use the skills you're getting. He is a defender. He serves as a defense player and a debuffer, but also a new role, which is counter, and is specifically meant to counter one unit. I guess hidden ability Gentile would have been the same thing, counter Aoi. I rate him a B. Would I go for broke for him? No. Limit break, tackle 25, speed 25, and then pass, intercept, technique, sensing, 16. I wouldn't go anywhere else other than that. His abilities, he got my team, all stats +1. If you're red, you're 1% stronger. That's actually quite good because that just means you can put him kind of with whoever. Opponent stats -10%. If your opponent is running Napoleon, it's a great debuff, but if not, it does nothing. Keeping him on the bench to deal with a Napoleon that's pretty strong might be a viable tactic. So if you're dealing with Blue Europe and Blue Europe's kind of beating the crap out of you, and Napoleon's there trying to do part of it, you might be able to use that. Snow cover, resistance, whatever. Insight Master, 5% Insight Master is not great. It clearly feels like an experiment. The database has also a 3% safety zone and a 3% pedal to the metal in the database. So I don't know what the point of those are, but I think they're really underpowered. K-Lab should probably do better with their design team. The design team should just work better. They can and should do better than this. Stamina 1030, pretty good. Offensive stats, non-existent. In the end, he's got 7.7 dribble because of the speed, 9.7k tackle, and 7.6k intercept. Everything else is just really mediocre, and he doesn't get any buffs towards high or low balls. For skill build, obviously you come with Razor Tackle. I would just pull off the Razor Shot to give to somebody else, and then leave him with B Swift Interception, A Sliding Block, B Razor Pass, and A Razor Tackle. Now, you would only really do this if you have the A Razor Tackle from the 2017 event. If you don't, there's really no point, so don't really bother. Basically, you might use sometimes Razor Shot to clear the ball and bother the goalkeeper, but other than that, there's really no reason to use it. Finally, we've got Deuter Muller, the Phantom Keeper. It's funny what 5,000 points in stats and a little bit of passive love can do for a goalkeeper, right? Originally, he was much maligned for having a difficult-to-use passive, which required a bunch of European players, and 10.6 catch isn't much, really, even with the changes. However, after his hidden ability and passive, he does get 22% extra stats, and that does put him at 12,997 catch, which actually makes it the highest of the game. What does that mean? It means we're going to do some comparison math real quick, because if you factor in a full catch limit break, putting him at 14,827 catch, that means he has a 72,652 windmill catch and 42,998 one-handed catch. How does that stack up? Well, it does pretty well. So looking here on the right, if you had the red SGGK catch with SGGK, 65.9k, and against German 77k. Dreamfest SGGK versus Japan 68, versus non-Japan 79. With jumping SGGK, we go 68 against Germans 80, versus Dreamfest Jumping SGK versus Japan 71 versus non-Japan 81. Red Perfect SGK 70k and 83k against Germans. And Dreamfest PSGK versus Japan would be 73k and versus non-Japan 85k. So now that we know those numbers and now we see what Genzo can get, what does Muller do? Well, Muller Windmill versus non-Japan 72k versus Japan 75k. 2018 Windmill base is 63k and with full body stand 82k. This is again, all of them are limit broken only on catch. So what does that actually mean? It means that you have 75k as your versus Japan skill and 72 as your versus non-Japan skill. So you have an idea. If you were playing Dreamfest Genzo against Japanese players, you would have a comparable save to this Muller against anybody, basically. Strictly better against non-Japanese players and strictly worse against Japanese players. And that's Dreamfest Genzo with perfect SGK. Obviously, Dreamfest Genzo in the optimal scenario is an 85k save. It's really hard to like overcome that. But 72 to 75k as your save is really not that bad. I think that if I don't wrong recall, Salinas doesn't get anywhere close to this. Salinas' best case scenario, if you're shooting from outside, is in like the low 70s. But if you get close to him, he dies. So this Muller from anywhere is at least 72k, properly limit broken, which is much more useful. That does make him way better actually also than Godzo. It makes him a lot more flexible than Godzo because Godzo, once you get up close to him, he just kind of dies. So a lot of people were overreacting about about him being insanely strong, but he is in fact very good. He's more consistent than the World Cup Muller in that he maintains his level of strength throughout the match, and it's a 75k level of strength against Japanese and 72k otherwise. Improved stamina still doesn't change the fact that Windmill Catch is a 365 stamina move, but it helps mitigate it just a bit. When it's all said and done, this Muller is stronger out of the box than SGK and frankly significantly scary to deal with. His Japanese player killer isn't much, but it helps against Japanese players. Now, what ended up happening here is that with this Muller and all these other changes, I think, and a Dreamfest Ken, we have now like a paradigm shift. I think the tiers all shift because now there is a very clear double S tier, which is the two Dreamfest goalkeepers. And all the old double S goalkeepers are now S tier. Except maybe for World Cup Muller remaining at double S tier. But I don't think he's quite as good as the Dreamfest units. He's better for a little bit, and then he's strong for the rest of the time, and then he eventually weakens too much. Meanwhile, I think the Dreamfest goalkeepers are probably just better overall. Like, basically forever. And so I really don't know how I would classify now the tier list, but if I was going to actually make a tier list, I think I would bump everyone down a tier. With the new World Cup goalkeepers at the top, and then the 2018 goalkeepers, the two best ones at S, along with maybe this Muller. And I think I would also put in there, in that same category, I would probably put maybe not the Red Genzo, but maybe Red Genzo. Actually, probably Red Genzo and Morisaki. But Muller being the only double S. So the World Cup 2018, Morisaki, Genzo, and then this Muller, and then SGGK Genzo would all be S tier. And then Salinas might hold up the very bottom of the S tier, but he is basically the worst S tier goalkeeper, and then after that it's everyone else. I think that's more or less how it would work. Pros is a solid goalkeeper with 75k check against Japanese players and 72k check against the rest of the world. Cons limited to Europe-only teams, like Rainbow Europe, although maybe best suited for Mono-Red Europe instead. Limit break, full catch. Catch 25, power technique 25. So yeah, it's actually quite nice. For its innate abilities, you get all stats plus 2. If you're European, you're 2% stronger. That's super good. That might actually be what puts him on top of World Cup Muller right now. If you were to have this guy in like Rainbow Europe, that's another 2% buff. So if you're running like the Red Brian, but also you wanted to play Blue Gentile and Red Robson, you would have a ton of buffs, and you don't have to worry about running the hidden ability Cleaver, you know? You wouldn't have to, but you could if you wanted to. That is always an option. You just really don't have to because you have like Guti and all these other characters that you could be running instead. Japanese player killer, he's a little stronger against Japanese players by 5%, which is a nice boon to have even if it's small. Snow cover resistance, whatever. Special skill block cancel, another good one. He ignores 2 special skill blocks. People don't really appreciate how good that is, and now he ignores 2 of them. That would be really strong against characters that try to like prevent him from using his best skills. Or from saving stamina, because sometimes they block your low, cheap stamina skill, and that makes it really frustrating to try to save a weak shot. He's got 1027 stamina. That was originally his huge problem, and now he has a bunch more stamina. He gets 10,653 base catch, but remember, that is a lot stronger if you run him in the right team. For skill build, S windmill catch, A double hammer, A one-handed catch, and C giant's arm. You're mostly going to be using giant's arm or double hammer when the shot's just really atrocious and from far away, because he's a much worse puncher than he is a catcher. That said, A one-handed catch is actually so weak that even fully limit broken for catch, the difference between A double hammer and it is only about 2,000 in total stats. So carefully analyze what skill you can use in what situation. Anyways guys, that's it for this video. We're finally through. It took 25 minutes of actual talking to get through everyone. So thanks a lot for coming out here. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure you click subscribe and click like on the actual video itself. Also click the little bell if you want to get more videos that are just like this, if you've never been to the channel before. I also now have a Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/nothingxs, you can check out my Patreon. You can join for as little as $1 a month. You can support me. If you want to get cool extra features, those start at $5 a month. You can get stuff like a PDF of this video, so you can always have the reference to all the slides. I did release the PDF of this already to my viewers, but since there were some edits I made that I found errors as I was making this video, I have to re-upload it and make a new version for them. So I will also do that for them. You know, if one of the older ones is erroneous, I do upload it and update it. Eventually, hopefully, once I get monetized again, you can also become a member of the channel. That will come back eventually, I suppose. But yeah, thanks a lot for coming out here. Make sure you check out my other videos. If you haven't been to the Reddit yet, reddit.com/r/Captain Tsubasa DT. Come join the subreddit and chat with us. We also have a Discord you can come chat with all of us in. And thanks a lot. Anyways, guys, that'll be it for now. We'll be covering some more units in the future. I hope to see you guys soon.